Gravity Sketch is used by a lot of industrial designers and automotive designers and anyone who's doing more mechanical things, but why not use it to do things like this? So this is a quick character sculpt showing a little space alien, and it's all done with subdivision modeling, and some of these pipes are done with the older NURBS based or spline based tools. So let's have a look how we would approach a subject like this. So let's make a character using subdivision modeling in Gravity Sketch. So let's set the scene up first. So we've got mirror on, so that's useful. We don't need a floor for this, or we don't need a stage floor or anything like that for this one. Sometimes you put a floor on if it's going to be something that needs to be grounded, but we don't need that. Don't need anything else there, so that's fine. We'll go down here, primitive shapes, make sure subdivision is on, and we'll just take a cube for now. That will be fine. So to make sure we are in subdivision mode, just click the blue button on the non-dominant hand, bring the center across, and that's snap. So you know you're in sub D mode now because you've got points, edges, and your verts to play with. So you can just literally push through and grab as you need on each of the different components. So we're just going to block out a rough shape of, we're going to do a little alien character. So let's just block out a face, or at least a head, and then we'll run a couple of splits through here. So I'm just clicking with my trigger and just adding a what we call an edge loop around, and now I'm just manually shaping the back of the head. You can see it kind of taking shape already. Well, I say taking shape, it's around. And let's give us a neck. So I want to split all the way through here. That's going to give me the face to work on. One here, it's going to be the jaw. So that means I can now use probably just this for the neck. Like so. I'm probably going to do him in a helmet, so I wouldn't see anything below this level really, so that's absolutely fine. You see me just clicking for extra loops. Don't go too crazy adding too much at this stage, because what we're after is the basic shape. If you want to see what it looks like in sub D mode, let's just push him out so you can see what I'm doing, and we'll just put subdivision level on. You can see there he's smooth. So you could, if you wanted to, now just start refining the shape a little bit, just to get the idea of the character that you want. It's a bit early for that yet, because we're only literally at the very initial blocking out phase. If you want to smooth any of them down, push forward so you've got a large grab area, and then hold the trigger and just pull down and it'll tighten them. So cover over the area that you want, and then pull down on your thumbstick on your dominant hand and it'll tighten them. And if you want to do that with an area of effect, come off the model, hold your so you're off the model now, hold down your grip on your dominant hand, and you can push up and down with your thumbstick, and that'll give you an area of effect fall off. So watch. So that gives you a really nice soft selection, and that soft selection also works on your smooth as well. So that's something that I've wanted since I used to use a program called Silo, and it's one of the best things. It means that you've got a smooth on your hand, and that makes you much more efficient as a modeler or sculptor, because you're not going off to call a function, it's just there. You can see me just pulling it now and just tightening down, and I'm already getting a shape. Within a few minutes I've got a rough idea of the outline that I want. The polys aren't good, and we're not, you know, if I was in Maya or something now, it would be a little bit different, but at the moment that's good enough for what we want. Okay, I'm going to turn sub D off. Turn it off completely at the moment because I'm going to do some cutting and splitting. So I want his mouth in here. So I'm going to now lay down all of some eyes basically, and I'm going to lay down the the structure that will become the mouth. So I could either delete it like so, I can delete polygons out like that, and that can be useful because then you can bring back, by doing edge extrusion, I can just bring back an edge. You can see, just grab that one. You can snap these together, watch. Just thinking about what I want. Bring that in a little bit. Bring that one in a little bit, snap it there. You can see what I'm doing. I'm forming an edge loop around this corner here. Obviously when you drop a point onto another point it will snap, so that can be quite useful. I'm going to keep this fairly low poly. Now I've got an edge loop now all the way around that mouth, so that's useful because I can just put an edge loop in and then I can bring these back. I'm going to take that area of effect off because what you were seeing there is me struggling a bit because I've got that area of effect on. Now you'll see it's back to how it was. I'll tuck that mouth in, under the lip, probably up inside the mouth. Hope you can see this because I'm zoomed quite far in here, which isn't ideal sometimes. Another edge loop. And that means we can go right deep down inside. And then we'll start bringing filling it in at the back. And that's snapped in straight away, so I didn't even need to go back and edit that. I'll put another split there just to give me a really nice tight return. That'll give us some nice shading up inside the lip. So I'm trying to get the shape of the mouth without too many polygons. And then what we'll do is we'll take another look in sub D and just see if it's given us the kind of volume that we wanted. So you can see there you've got a nice edge loop around the mouth. So what does it look like, sub D? Yeah, so we're there now with that. Now later on I will tighten these edges down a bit, so we might tighten the corner of that mouth a little bit, or we might even put more loops in here to allow us to make that a bit tighter, but we're already kind of cracking on with, in fact, no, I'll tell you what, we will do that now. Put another one in there, that means I can do this return under the lip. That means I can also tuck that under there and give me a mouth corner. Maybe even one more level. Let's see what that looks like. Just checking it at all levels there. That's fine. Don't like that crease there, so we need to be careful of that. See how we're still low poly though. We've not gone crazy with the edge loops. Every now and again you'll see that you want to add in an edge loop. So I can see now I want one down here, so I can go in there and add it as I've seen the need for it. That's worked well. So let's take, I'm flipping the modes now. You can see with my thumb, flipping between faces, edges. So if I want to do a whole set of faces like this, flip with my thumb until I get to that mode there, and then I can, that mode there, and then I can do all of those faces in one go. And you'll see why I want to do that in 1 second, because that's where the eyes are going to go. So holding all four of them, fire, 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 and that's your eye done. Can do the same for a nostril if you want. Just go back to point mode because we're not finished yet. We just want to add a few more loops. Notice I'm being very careful. These loops are going all the way through the mesh, so you need to be careful. Don't let him, I mean at the moment it's fine because we're not going high poly yet, but any minute now we're going to have to stop doing that, and we're going to have to do it with a very careful controlled way, because if not you'll just end up with ridiculous amount of polygons in areas that you don't want, and that's a very common problem with this kind of work. Or it's something you have to learn early on to make sure you don't do it too much. So now it's an alien, isn't it? So do we need a nose? And think about this, because I'm obviously designing on the fly here. Just trying to think while I'm working. Maybe I'll put some eyeballs in and then we'll make a decision on that. So how do we put eyeballs in? So we need more models. So click blue button off to come off sub D mode, and then go down here and we want sub D. Yes, we do. Sub D sphere. Yes, we do. And we'll bring it to the front so that we can use the point at the front there. We'll color it now actually. Oh, no, we won't colour it pink, will we? Let's colour it white, which is helpful, with it being an eye and all. Get it roughly in the right sort of place. Yeah, that looks good. Let's just edit it a tiny bit. So what I've done is I've taken that middle bit, which is going to be the pupil, and I've selected it all. Oops, no, twisted it then. Doesn't like that for some reason, so what I'll do is I'll make it smaller first, and then put some edge loops around it, and then just bring that back. So it's a little bit of a compromise there. So that looks fine. So what does it look like in sub D? So we'll just do subdivision and one level. And there we go. So we've got some eyes in place. Just thinking about size and shape. Looks about fine. So we want to now go back to our head. And because we've done that, we can now make the head fit the eyeball. So we want to bring these down a little bit. The eyelids are going to be separate. So depending on the stylized nature of the thing that you're designing, you might put splits in here and bring the eyelid down and make it part of this actual mesh. Or you might want to make separate eyelids. It's totally up to you, depending on how cartoony you want to go. Just looking where to put splits and where not to put splits. So I want a nice big forehead on him here, like a surprised look. I'm beginning to think he needs a nose. I keep coming back to this, but yeah, just a little bit of a button nose might be useful. Not overly sure. I might get rid of that once we define the character a bit more, but doesn't make too much of a problem for us. Needs a bit of cheek volume now. So you can see, because we're low poly, we can still affect it quite nicely. This is no different than what I would do in Cinema or Maya or Blender or whatever I'm using. You're just working your polys, which is quite liberating because it's in VR. I'll bring the eye out here for a moment. So don't forget, I just hit an extra eye by mistake there, so red button gives you a delete. So I think I need to put basically put an iris in here. So let's have a look at how we can do this. So it's going to be quite small, so I think I'll make go back to our tool menu. We'll make a cylinder. Doesn't really matter how we do. Oops, that's a sphere, not a cylinder. Make a cylinder. We're going to make it way smaller. This is basically just a filler. It doesn't even need to be any specific shape. We'll do it blue. And there's thousands of different ways to do this, so this is just the way I'm choosing to do it for now. Just basically giving me something that represents the look and feel of the eye. So I'm going to do a fake specular highlight with this bad boy, and then we'll change that later on once we're happy with it. So we've got an eye. So select them all. Purple button brings them all together as a group, and then we can pop it back in the head, and then at least we've got something to work that is representation of the eye, a shape that we're going to need. So that you can see that's working quite well already. So those eyelids now, we need some nice eyelids. So I need I need a hemisphere, is it? I believe. So just ungroup that, and I'm just going to use the parts that I've already got. So we'll get rid of these, get rid of these, and then let's just have a look at the polys on this. Just delete what we don't need, basically. Don't forget just your red button over the thing you want to delete, and it's gone. That'll do for now. Let's colour it, and then bring that last loop in, so that gives you the eyelid return. Got the back of it there, but it doesn't matter because we're never going to use that or ever going to see it. And then to make a nice edge, tight edge, just bring it tighter there. I want him looking a bit dozy actually, so I'm going to have it right low down like that. There you go, and this is where you go back to that thing, the soft selection kind of deal. So hold down your inner grip and just bring that down, and that gives you a nice soft way to affect the model, like so. Gives you that fall off that allows you to, you know, smooth and to tighten. I'm just tweaking it around. Make it fit the eyeball. Now that's why it's so important to put an eyeball in, because you can just design it so much better when you can see the eyeball like so. Gives it a lot more character straight away. And then we'll bring this in here, and we'll make this a lot tighter and a lot closer and smaller. This is your lower lid. So you obviously don't want a lot of that showing. There we go. Just give him a bit more of a surprise there. And I think actually already we need to give him more eyebrow, more brow, should I say, so, because he... There we go. So I'm just building up the volume on that brow, just to make him look a bit more interested. I need some teeth, but again, I don't worry about. I basically just make something very simple. So I'll just use a. In fact, we won't use symmetry for this bit. We'll turn symmetry off. We'll make just a cube. Make sure it's sub D. Make sure it's yellowy white. Just make one cube, bring it down in scale, bring it across. We're going to make a bar of teeth here, so we need two like this, like so. Super easy to do. So this is normal sub D polywork. It's nothing that you won't have seen in Maya or Blender, as I've already said. It's just the fact that you're doing it in a virtual environment that just makes it quite pleasant way to work, because you're literally in this room with this character making the parts of his body. And we'll just do one close up here, because then we can do this, and that's the split in the middle of his front teeth. Put in some splits for when I subdivide it, you'll see right now. And there you go, he's just got a little bit of visual interest in that tooth. And it's not symmetrical, so straight away we've broken the symmetry, which I like to do very, as soon as I can in a model, break that symmetry, and you've got somewhere, you've got some life, should I say, straight away. Depending on how stylized you want to go, you can do a nostril. We'll just put a split there. Be careful, because that's very close to the edge now. And when you get close to this edge, it can get quite difficult, meaning it could snap like that. So obviously that's what I'm trying to avoid. There we go. So we've done a nostril, which doesn't look good because we haven't got a lot of geometry around here to work with. I'm quite happy to put a split across there, and that gives me some nice volume. Smooth it down here. Remember how to do that. Let's tighten this down now, so that nose, we now know we've got a nose, so we can now work on that. One tip I would give you if you want to do this kind of work for a living is, you've got to get your anatomy down. So you must spend some time and learn, whether it's stylized or not, learn about anatomy. I think that snapped by mistake there. Yeah, it did, look. So it's snapped inside. Which is exactly what I said not to do. So I've just gone back and deleted that out. So we have to now put that back. That can happen quite a lot, so don't be shocked if it happens. That's why you don't go too high too quickly, or you'll get more and more of those errors. I'm going to turn sub D off to fix this. You can see what a mess it is now as a unsubdivided object. So we just need to fix it in this raw state so that we don't have more and more problems. And all I'm doing here is just making that edge loop back. But that's a very real problem that you will experience if you let it get out of control early on. I've just filled it back up now. I do love this kind of work in VR. I didn't think by this stage we would have subdivision modeling of this quality in a VR app. I hadn't seen it before this. I was lucky to be involved when this was being made, so I was lucky to be able to give my opinions on it with a lot of other people. But sub-D is something I've been heavily involved in for 20 odd years now, so it was very close to my heart to get it in VR, and VRSketching is the one that did it for me. There's a lot more coming, I assume, and I think you probably know of a couple of programs that are probably already moving down that line already. So it will, it will be the first of many, I hope, and hopefully these guys will keep developing it at a level where it just gets better and better. Go. So he's looking quite nice already. Just flipped him upside down for no apparent reason. Let's give him an ear. I know he's an alien, but I think maybe an ear might be warranted here. So I did that in one mode, switch to the other mode, and angle it around. Very, very simple. It's, once, as I say, it's simple. It's not simple when you don't know how to do it. The minute you get into this flow, you can make anything, not just cars. It's a subdivision modeling package, and don't forget that it's got the ability to make whatever you want to make. It's not just for one purpose. So break all the rules once you know them. That's my advice for almost everything. So if everybody expects you to be making one thing with this, then go and make something else with it. I'm just going to tighten all that down. maybe too much. There we go. So that'll do it. In fact, I'll make it slightly pointed and slightly back. There we go. So that looks cool. Quite happy with that so far. So let's just add some. Let's just add a suit. So how did we do it before we used? Did we put symmetry back on? We didn't. So symmetry on. Primitives, cylinder. Just make sure it's on. In fact, no, I'm telling you wrong here. We don't want symmetry. We want to make an unsymmetrical suit of armor. Or suit of armor. It's going to be not a suit of armor at all. It's going to be a astronaut suit. So a space suit. And how we're going to do that? So let's just think about. Basically, want something for a helmet to sit in. So let's sub-D it. You'll see exactly what I mean now. So there you go. So what we want now is a helmet. That suits and fits this little ring here. What I'll do is I'll put a little split in here, and I'm going to go really tight inside. Whoops, just hit the microphone as I was working then. One of the dangers of working in VR. There we go. So we'll just put, we're basically just making it look more like a spacesuit. And once we put the helmet on, you'll see what I mean. So bring that a bit lower so you can see more of him. So there you go. He's looking quite cute already, and we didn't really spend any time on him yet, did we? So this is out here now. Now we'll just do one more thing, and that will probably be enough for us to make a good start of detailing. What we'll do is, well, in fact, is that around? Yeah, it is. So what we'll do, we're going to use this and just flip it over, and there you go. With like 2 seconds, that's made us a spacesuit, and it's a sub-D object, so we can work on that later. But for the moment, it just gives me something to look like he's got much more of a suit, which I quite like. So now I'm going to do something a little bit different. In fact, no, I'm not, because they're sticking through there. So I'm going to bring them down first. Just cleaning it up a little bit. So we'll go to, we're going to make some a helmet, which will be a big glass helmet. So we'll go layers. We've only used one layer so far, which is pretty cool. So we'll just add a new layer. We'll lock that layer for now. We'll go sub-D, make a sphere. Boom, there's a sphere. And what we're going to do with that sphere, so first of all, we can sub-D it. So we've got a cool sub-D. We'll do some kind of bright colour. And then I'm just going to place it roughly on his head like so. And then, because we're working non-symmetrically, remember that trick? Trigger, do it like this, pull it down, and now you've got a nice soft effect. There we go. This will be, because it's all sub-D, this is great because I can just literally take this to my render package. For me, it will be Cinema 4D for this one. And any color I've got in here will be a material ID or a vertex set. And what that means is if I want this just to be glass in my other program, then I already know that anything on that color is going to be glass. So it's already done for me, which is just so cool. You can see me doing large brush and just tightening down just to make sure. I didn't want just a sphere, I wanted it to be a little bit asymmetrical. Asymmetric, don't know which is the word. There we go. Now, the great thing now is layers transparent. So now we have a little character in a faux glass helmet. I don't know what happens if you change the material actually, so let's see if we can get a better material. Yeah, look at that, looks like he's in a glass bowl. So I even like these graphical errors. It's you know, I don't have a clue what drives this. That's just a layer transparency, but as you can see, I feel like that's quite a cool look. Just sticking out a little bit there at the back, look. So what I might do as well is that I think maybe on the final one, what I might do is replace that blobby helmet that I've made, and I might just make a massive domed cylinder, just to give us a bit more something that looks, I don't know, a little bit better. I just want to put one more thing on. I'm going to do another layer, and these are for things like some of the, we'll just put some extra bits on the body armor here. So first of all, I'll put some hooks on it. So I'm going to use, this is called the volume tool. Go to planar, and that means I can draw on this plane to make things. I want to use that cream. On the planar tool, make sure you click point mode, and that's cool. So now I can just draw little things like this, and these will just give me little bits to add on to the arm. If you click the blue button, you can still edit them like this. Now these aren't sub-D, these are spline based models, so bear in mind when these export, just using Fire here to copy them, these are going to give you quite nasty geometry, so but you got to live with that sometimes. I could make them in sub-D, but I'm just showing you how fast this stuff is. So let's make some, go to revolve tool, point mode, and bring it out to the front. I just want some valves, so I'm just clicking where I want the valve. Oh, went too far then. Just making it visually interesting. This is what I do all the time with robots and stuff. And that's just almost like a valve for, like a breathing valve or something like that. I don't even know what you call it, a ventilator or a, I don't know. I make stuff, I don't name it. And then I do find this tool quite annoying, so I get off it quite quickly. And then stock and trade for me is pipe work. That will make some people laugh because they comment on it all the time. I'm going to use the comic shader, and then we'll just do this. In fact, no, I'll go right into his head, so it's as if it's feeding his head. How cool is that, going through the transparency? That's quite funny. Now I'm just making this up now just to make it look interesting from the front. Let's find a way of not hitting the microphone every 5 minutes. We'll bring some under here up into his throat, as if he's got gills or something. Again, this is so good for just free-forming because I'm making this up as I go. I literally started with no idea what I was doing on this one. I'm just going to fill that with what I'd call pipe greeble. Again, just gives me some visual interest at the bottom. Don't need it, but it might just... almost looks more like his suit, doesn't it? We can get rid of that if we don't like it later on. There we go. Yeah, I was right, I don't like it. I like seeing his neck actually. There we go. So there's the character. Didn't take long at all, did it? So you've got a really cool spaceman. Using primarily, you're using subdivision modeling tools, and he now is going to pop out to Cinema 4D, and I'll probably show at the end of this video. I'll just show a quick render of him in C4D, and I'll show you what he looks like. So if you're enjoying this kind of content and it's the kind of things that you want to learn, then drop a thumbs up on this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Allows us to let you know when we're uploading more, whether it's iPad sculpting or VR sculpting or modeling, or even the granddaddy that we teach, ZBrush. So I see you in the next video.